Fulfillment is a byproduct of alignment with your highest self, and no one can tell you how to design a life of fulfillment.
Really dig into figuring out, okay, what are the actual tactics that I'm doing on the day-to-day? And then that'll also give you a deeper understanding of, is this pleasure or is this actually fulfillment? All right, you should be good, Amy. Come on in.
Hey.
Hey, Amy.
Hi.
What's happening?
Just about to read the first question.
Perfect.
Sometimes I wonder if I put too much emphasis on trying to make every moment fulfilling that I miss out on living in the moment. Any thoughts on how to combat that?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm just not probably, it's a tough one because I think I am trying to be balanced in terms of fulfillment and pleasure. So I think you have to find the right balance for you of, like, if you're doing 90% of things that are fulfilling you, find 10% to do the fun, unique experiences so you don't feel like life is passing you by. Alan was a trooper this week because I was away. I was away last week. I am engaged, so I proposed to my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend, now fiance, Taryn, and that was fiance. The longest I've been away from this since we started it, really. Like, I was away from my laptop and stuff for 4 days, but that also is super important, right? Like, that's a variety thing that is important to my life. So I think you have to check in with, okay, where do I value fun, unique experiences? How often am I actually doing them? And just be honest with yourself, because I don't think you going for a walk once a week is going to take away from your fulfillment a ton. I actually think that most people value fun, unique experiences way more than Alan and I. I think you value them even less than I do. So understand, like, check in with that and figure out where your sweet spot is. And you'll probably go too much on one end, but you'll find out where your drive to 5 is.
There's so many ways to go with this question, and strong work, Kev.
All right, thanks, man.
Fulfillment is a byproduct of alignment with your highest self, and no one can tell you how to design a life of fulfillment. The framework and the diagnostic, it's kind of like, okay, in fitness, there's certain fundamentals. But, like, if you want to be a marathon runner, you should be training very differently than someone who wants to be a bodybuilder, right? If you want to be a swimmer, you should be training very differently than someone who, wants to be a pole vaulter. And so fulfillment has principles that we've taught here, but it's totally customized to you. And all you have to do, I think the only wrong answer is to not try to design a life a little more towards fulfillment. And so what I mean by that is, if you get caught up in the moment of trying to make every moment more fulfilling, I think you're probably taking the wrong approach, and I don't mean that in any negative way, but here's what I would do. I focus on designing. Fulfillment is a byproduct of a well-designed life. And so if you're unfulfilled, ask yourself, like, okay, why am I unfulfilled? And the reason in this case is I'm focusing too much on fulfillment. Let fulfillment be a byproduct, not the goal, if that makes sense. So, for example, Kevin and I are about to surpass $250,000 in revenue, gross revenue, in NLU. That was never the goal, though. See, the goal was to have the most positive impact possible of any podcast in history. So the $250,000 is a byproduct of a much bigger goal. So for you, instead of your goal being making sure you're so fulfilled, have it be to live in your calling. Fulfillment is a byproduct of living in your calling. But then you got to go one layer deeper of, like, what is outside of alignment. And I have something called the alignment audit that I do with my clients, but basically from 0 to 10, how fulfilled am I? Ask yourself, okay, if it's a 4, okay, awesome. Now what's the gap? Mind the gap. So that means you're a 6 outside of alignment. Oh, you know what? I haven't been sleeping well. All right, I'm going to try to sleep a little better. And then boom, you'll be more fulfilled. And it'll start to snowball. When people get outside of alignment, a lot of times they then fill that void of lack of fulfillment with pleasure, and then it compounds in a negative way. You can also flip that process.
Great answer.
Thank you, brother.
Almost as good as mine.
Almost as good as Kevin's.
If you're trying to integrate your life with your partner, but you both find different things fulfilling, how do you navigate that?
Simple answer for me. I know Alan will probably go way more in depth, because this honestly, this whole live podcast was Alan's idea, and he absolutely crushed it. So he
you, man.
definitely has studied the fulfillment game more than Jeff. Jeff 1. I would say have the difficult conversations genuinely of Taryn and I early on. I said I will most likely work almost every day to some degree for the rest of our lives because this is what fulfills me, being of service and the podcast growing and being on shows and coaching calls and speaking. Like that really fulfills me. This journey, this mission that is way greater than Alan, it's way greater than me. It just fulfills me. And I want to bring the most impact I can. So that's what fulfills me. What fulfills you? We had that conversation. And then I told Alan this earlier. While we were away this weekend in Maine, she said, like, I really love this. I love this fun, unique experience side of you where we get to go do different things and you're not super serious and super focused on business. And I said, I love that too. But you have to understand that for me, being away for this long is like breathing very thin air. Like, I don't last here. I couldn't stay here. This isn't my jam. It's just an open, honest communication of what you actually want, what the other person wants, and where you can integrate. Taryn loves traveling way more than I do. We had the conversation the other day of like, she said, maybe I'll just go travel on my own. Like when I want to skydive and do fun, unique experiences, I'll do that by myself because I know you won't do it. It's like, cool, you go do that. I'm going to do this. And then we're going to collaborate where we can. And I think it's a difficult conversation probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super important. Great question, by the way.
It was a good question.
So I'll give you an example. So I love movies. Always have, big movie buff growing up.
What's your favorite?
My favorite movie?
Real quick. Off the top.
Good Will Hunting.
I thought you were going to say
Lion
Shawshank.
King. The Lion
Shawshank
King.
Redemption.
The Lion King's my favorite.
Okay.
But Shawshank's up there for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, I adore movies. Emilia and I in the new home, we have this huge 80-plus inch. It came with the home. It was awesome. Favorite part of the home. And she doesn't love watching TV or movies nearly as much as I do. That's not in alignment for her. So now we watch a movie maybe once a week. And we read more because reading is more in alignment. So you got to have the conversation. What's a 10 out of 10 that you both have a 10 out of 10? And if not, do it separate. And then do the 10s out of 10 together. So another example of this is I'm extremely strict with my calories in terms of how many I get in a given day. And I don't like missing workouts ever. And when I first started dating Emilia, she wasn't as consistent in the bodybuilding or fitness as I was. She did Muay Thai. And so we integrated. Now she's doing more fitness, but sometimes she wants to do more cardio. So now I'm doing a mile almost every day, timed miles. And so you just got to integrate. It's like not everything's going to be a 10 out of 10 for everybody. You know, every single time Kevin and I travel, we usually get burgers and watch Friends, and we love it.
That's a 10.
10 out of 10.
And we go to the gym.
Yeah, and we go to the gym as well. And that's our post-workout meal. You're not going to always find 10 out of 10s, but you can find like, okay, if that's an 8 for you and this is a 9 for me, let's find a way to make it closer to 10. You just got to have that conversation. And be honest, too. That's the hardest part. You don't feel like you're going to be loved. It's like, well, if she doesn't like movies as much as I do, then like, how are we going to make this, you know what I mean? Don't worry, you're fine. I'm going to watch a movie with Tucker by myself. It's all good. Tucker's our dog. By the way, Tucker, some random guy. Tucker.
Come on over. We're going to watch
Shawshank tonight. But that's the best answer we have is just have the conversation. So same as what Kevin said.
Hi, I'm Johanna Annunziata. I'm a high school English teacher. And last week I had the honor of having Kevin and Alan in to inspire my students through podcasting. My students, sophomores in high school, they are creating their own podcast called Perspectives with a Purpose. So Next Level University, big time podcasters, Kevin and Alan, were able to come into the classroom and really share their purpose and share their why, and just inspire and impact my students on their journey. It was not only beneficial through podcasting and learning like the ins and outs of podcasting, but it was also just amazing to have both of them, powerful souls, super mindful, to just be able to share like, hey, this is why we started our podcast, and being really hands-on with the students to motivate them to understand like this is not going to be easy work, but it's going to be impactful work, and to just help them be the best version of themselves through this journey. Can't wait to have Alan and Kevin back in the classroom. I definitely know that they're going to continue helping us through Perspectives with a Purpose. So thank you, Alan and Kevin. You two are amazing souls, and I appreciate you.
Wow. I do feel fulfilled a lot in my life, but I find that feeling hard to consistently hold on to. How can I make that be more of a of a constant in my life?
You mind if I take this?
No, absolutely.
You got to identify the root cause of why it's fleeting. All of our lives have highs, lows, ebbs, and flows. Fulfillment can be a little bit more of a lasting thing. So, like, I got a coffee today with caramel in it, caramel swirl, iced coffee.
That's my
delicious.
order. My order, by the way.
Yeah, it is his order.
Just DM me. I'll let you know.
He's converted me, and it's delicious, right? Super pleasure, lots of pleasure. Not fulfilling, but fulfillment can last. But if it's fleeting, you might actually be thinking it's fulfillment when in reality it's not. But assuming that it actually is fulfillment, you got to identify why it's fleeting. And I think that you have to identify the root cause of why you're outside of alignment. And this gets complicated, but it's actually simpler than I'm explaining it. So, for example, I have really high fitness goals. And when I'm outside of alignment with those fitness goals, aka that vision, I get very upset with myself and I get unfulfilled. When I'm and so for me, one of the hardest things to stay consistent on is my mobility. So sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, and mobility. For me, mobility is the bottleneck, like always. And so I did ROMWAD this morning. It's an app, mobility app. We talk about it all the time. They do not pay us, but they should. I'm kidding. But I did it this morning. And for me, it's very hard to stay consistent with my mobility. And I've admitted that to myself, which helps me work on it. But I think I went all of last week without doing almost any mobility. And it bothered me every single day. I think that's all it is. I think we believe that we're supposed to be fulfilled all the time. When I don't agree with that, I think we're supposed to. Your highest self is basically tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, you're outside of alignment. Hey, you're outside of alignment. The only wrong answer is to not identify and rectify. So, okay, the root cause of me being outside of alignment is not doing mobility because my highest self is trying to say, hey, Alan, you need to do mobility so you can do fitness, so you don't get injured, so that you can reach your goals and you maximize your potential. And so I think that's all it is. You got to identify and rectify. But if you identify the wrong root cause, you won't be able to rectify properly. It's like I was saying this earlier. Imagine your check engine light comes on in your car and your highest self is saying, hey, something's wrong. And then it's a tire pressure light, but you think it's the oil. You actually have a flat tire, but you change the oil. It's not going to do anything. You're changing the wrong thing. So just make sure you're identifying and rectifying the right thing, and try to also make it so that it's less of a problem in the future. See, there's a difference between, Alan, I'm going to force myself to do mobility every day, and then like making it a part of my morning ritual and who I am. See, one of them gets automated over time, kind of like plugging in your GPS versus having to find your way around all the time. Hopefully that makes sense.
I would say just check everything that Alan said, but also the opposite. Check the patterns for when you actually feel the most fulfilled. And then go through, like, what are you doing on those days? Well, not necessarily those days, but the days, the weeks, like that month. What's going on in your life? Did you make more money? Are you in a new relationship? Really dig into figuring out, okay, what are the actual tactics that I'm doing on the day-to-day? And then that'll also give you a deeper understanding of, is this pleasure or is this actually fulfillment? Plus Alan's things.
Fire.
Yeah. One more, Amy. Amy's gone. Well,
No, I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm struggling.
No, you're good.
My family enjoys pleasurable experiences and quality time with each other, and it's something I also value, but I know not participating in all these experiences will help with my growth. How do I communicate this to them?
Oh, that's a honestly, I have done this. I think I've actually done this fairly well, believe it or not. I started by doing it by example, and then I communicated my truth. I was with my family recently, and we were talking about how Christmas and Thanksgiving and the holidays are coming up, and they said, "Are you going to come down?" And I said, "Honestly, I'll come down and see you guys." And I love my extended family. I have nothing against my extended family, but I said, for me, it doesn't really fill my cup seeing people that I'm supposed to see every year. It doesn't really do it for me. I know it's the holiday, and I know it's the season of that, and I know it's customary, but for me, that's just not the way I'm wired. So I don't know. We'll see when we get there. I just made it known that this is kind of who I am, and this is the direction I want to go. Now, again, like Alan said, we've been doing this entrepreneur thing for 266 years. So I've had a lot of time to work that over with my family and my friends. But the earlier you start to tell your truth, the sooner you'll actually get to it. So start with breadcrumbs if you have to. And you just, and I'll tell you this too, real talk. Sometimes you can, if you need to, you can tell a little bit of a white lie to get the ball rolling. Maybe you're not ready to come out and say, look, I don't value family time as much as you do. If you got to tell a white lie to get the ball rolling, I'm okay with it. As long as you have an end goal of coming clean.
Interesting. I didn't know you were going to go that way.
I feel like it's important. I do, because not everybody has the courage right off the bat to just to come out and say it.
It's difficult to explicitly express. People take it personal. I want to go to the root of this. I remember we were on a podcast with a woman named Lauren Tickner, and I asked her a question similar. And she said, the truth of the matter is, Alan, you just care what people think too much. And what I realized is this. It's true. I care too much about what other people think, and it controls me. And the moment I admit that and work on it is the moment you get better at it. All of us care what other people think, especially family. And pretending you don't is BS, by the way. Some people just care less than others, but usually the people who are out there saying, I don't care what people think, I don't care what people think, usually those are the people who actually care the most, because it's the story they have to keep telling. This is what I would say. You have 36,500 days on this planet if you live to 100. I'm 32 years old, okay? I want to live to 120, but I'm a fourth of the way, a little more than a fourth. If you only had $36,500, how carefully would you spend that money? So let's say you're 30 and you're going to live to 100. That means you have 70 years left. 70 times 365. Do the math. How many dollars do you have left in your bank account? How many days do you have left? The Top Regret of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. It's an amazing book. I have a flashcard in my pocket at all times. Number one regret of the dying is I wish I had lived a life true to myself and not what others expected of me. Families have unreasonable expectations. Oh my goodness, do they have unreasonable expectations. You're supposed to be there every Christmas. You're supposed to be there every Easter. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. This whole it's selfish thing to stay in alignment with your highest self is absolute crap. It's absolute crap. And only at 32 years have I come to realize this to the drastic extent. What's best for you is what's best for the world. I want you to really think about this. A happy, healthy, fulfilled, wealthy version of you, how in the world is that bad for anyone? Especially if you're a good person. Don't let other people control you. Don't let other people guilt you and shame you. Stay in alignment with your highest self, because that's your spiritual obligation and your calling.
And if you do need to lie a little bit, you can do that.
If your lower self wants to take it, that's funny.
Ladies and gentlemen, Amy, thank you so much as always.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Aim.
Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you all tuning in. As you can see below, Alan and I both have one-on-one coaching spots available. I have leaned into podcast coaching more than anything, and Alan is peak performance, business, as well as lifestyle design.
Oh, yeah.
As
Fulfillment design,
as you can tell from what we spoke about today. We love you. We appreciate you all. And as always, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.